is the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast. Hello, world, and welcome back to the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast, an audio series of lighthearted and sometimes third-eye-opening conversations on entrepreneurship, leadership, and relationships from the African-American perspective. I'm your host, Phylanice Nashe. Welcome. So we are continuing part 2 of our conversation with DeLisa and Elde Guerrier of Guerrier Development. And in our previous episode, we talked about their origin story. We got down to the nitty gritty of how these two met, how they began entrepreneurship together, and how they have come to be such a powerful couple in Nashville's development construction industry. And so in this episode, I really wanted to dive into that construction industry that they are in, the barriers that they are breaking, and then talk about their most recent project. They are bringing an amusement park to Nashville called Storyville. So, DeLisa, you as a woman, as an African-American woman, are breaking barriers when it comes to traditional male roles and in construction. Elde and DeLisa, can you talk about how you guys support one another in this male-dominated construction business and how you get through some of the hurdles that you've experienced as you've grown your construction business?
I guess if I'll start, I'll say that first it was being aware of our strengths and our weaknesses individually. And there are some things that I do very well, and there are some things that LD does very well. And I think as a team, we've been able to get where we are. It's funny because being in construction, most people they'll just automatically assume that my husband is the contractor or the qualifying agent, if you will, for the construction company. And my husband laughs and he says, "No, she took that 9-hour test. She's the qualifying agent." So I don't know. I think I know one other African American woman in the greater Nashville area that has the same licensing that I have. So I'm licensed in commercial, residential, and industrial construction. And so it has been an interesting journey with a lot of challenges, especially being, just funny thing. Well, it's not really funny, actually. When I went to get certified with the airport, they told me that I could either, so usually, when you go for a certain designation, you can either be double with a woman and a minority owned business, or you can choose. Well, the airport told me that because I was Black, I couldn't be a woman.
I'm sorry, I don't follow
Yep.
that.
So the woman-owned business classification was solely for Caucasian women. And if you were anything else, you were automatically minority. So there's been a lot of challenges to get through. And, we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah. Elde, you want to add to, how you approach the challenges that you've both faced?
Again, and the previous episode, I talked about it being from Haiti, and I consider as it coming to the U.S. is actually a blessing. The way for me it's easier. It's not as I'm still learning. It's not as easy for actually an African American. The moment I walk in the room, before I open my mouth, that I'm looked at as, by the color of my skin, but the moment that I open my mouth, I'm completely different. In the beginning, to acknowledging when I walk in a meeting with my wife and everybody's looking at me, they're not looking at my wife. When the conversations are happening, I'm talking about this is a beautiful woman. She's brilliant. And she literally she's talking about a 9-hour test. There are projects that we're working on. Sometimes it take a whole week just to put that package together. But again, everybody's looking at me in the room. And then I start noticing that. And I made it a point because I have a daughter myself. I say, this is really this. I don't get this. What's going on here? She brilliant, if not brilliant than I am. She's very tall. To I kept reading about this woman movement. I'm like, if I'm gonna have a woman boss, I'm already married. I have a boss already, so I want it to be my wife. So from there, I made that decision for my daughter to be looking at as a powerful woman. In order for me to do that is to support the powerful woman in my house. I cannot expect people outside to change when myself need to be changed inside the house. I cannot be looking at the old way of, hey, as a man, I need to wear the pen in the house. I need to make this. That's the old way of thinking, and which is converted to the man dominant role of the women. So I say, if I need to make a change for my daughter today, I need to move, changing my perspective, how I see women in the work field. And so everything that I do, because again, I didn't give it to my wife. I want everybody to understand that. It's not something that's, oh yeah, I'm just gonna support my wife. No, she walked, I don't know if I can say that in Zoom, but she walked her behind off to get where she is today. And I respect that. So I stand in support and everything that she does, not just as a woman, but actually as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And she carried the company forward where there was a point where I was maintaining the position of the company, but she had vision of the way she see the company. The moment I let go of power position, and the company move forward as the construction company. And I make every meeting that I go, and I make sure I tell them, this guys, I'm not the guy you think, but she's doing the work. I make it a point to actually point it out when guys are, the men in the room is looking at me. I say, no, this is all her idea, not mine.
Let me tell that just with a quick thought though. And I appreciate him sharing. And there's this interesting, shift in people respecting women in powerful positions or in CEO positions, and I appreciate that too. But I think that there's a balance, and sometimes it can be abused, where I just want to pay respect that I wouldn't be here where I am without the support of my husband, and that's the truth. And I although I appreciate everything and the journey, he definitely deserves some credit for standing there and supporting me and finding ways for us to grow our company to where it is. So
Amen. I love that. That's that dynamic where you understand, like you mentioned before, understanding each other's strengths and
mhm.
understanding the roles. And it's clear when you look at your company's website, your roles are clearly identified.
Mhm.
DeLisa is handling these two aspects, and LD handles these aspects. Can
Yes.
you talk a little bit about how who handles what, and what lanes are you rolling in when it comes to Guerrier Development?
Yeah, so I think growing up, God gave me this unique gift to be able to see things in terms of to be able to see a piece of land or to see a piece of paper or to see building blueprints, and then to be able to see them for what they're going to be. And it's funny, so just to, I guess, to bring that down a little bit. So sometimes when an architect gives my husband and I blueprints, and I can look at it and it is like I am standing there in front of the building. And my husband says, please do a rendering for me because I um and there's that balance. We all have our strengths. So I look at this and I say, oh my gosh, this is going to be beautiful. These windows, this, and that is certainly one of my strengths. Another one thing that I learned a long time ago was that you can get anything done with the right package. And I have been able to put together the packages that paints the picture of what I see in my head and what I see for this property, to put it on paper to where other people can see it. So that's another one of my strengths. I can share a little bit about my husband. He has, he came from the automotive industry, and that requires a level of negotiations and a level of putting structures and deals together that I feel like trained him for this natural transition into the automotive industry. He used to look at the car dealership as every single parking lot, every single parking space was a tenant,
Mm.
and to translate that now to what we're doing, he just has this unique business mind when it comes to the numbers. And I sometimes will take his numbers and I'll put them on paper, because he's not very good at that. He will doodle it, but when it comes to putting it in a spreadsheet and everything is where I come in. So it's this fine balance where we both lend to everything that we're doing and see it come to life.
Elde, you want to add on to that? Because I will say, I- Elde has like the personality that brings people into the table, and they're like, you got to be part of this.
Yes.
Elde, tell us about your role in the family business.
And it's still being refined. Refined, which means less to do, the better. I get to do more. Yes, I'm that guy. It's like, okay, let's eliminate, within the back room. Let's find all all the what's make a project hard. Let's eliminate them, and then so when I go out there, so I can get everybody to be excited about the project. It's like an advocate about the project, because now I see it. I'm not. I can talk about it. It's very simple, and I'm excited about it because I don't see a project in the beginning. I see the project at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to be able to be in the 10,000 feet, looking down and seeing everything, but I move so fast that I leave a trail. Let me tell you, I leave a trail
He
behind.
leaves a mess. He leaves a mess, and he leaves it for me to clean up. Me and
Oh,
our team. He's gotten fired quite a few times. We let him back in.
oh my gosh, you talk about being fired. I couldn't tell you how many times I quit the family business. I've tried to resign, and Turner's like, I don't accept it. Let's work through this and let's keep it moving. That's
Yes,
Yes.
hilarious. That.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And I guess to wrap that up, so he sees the forest, and I see the trees.
Yeah,
And
Hmm.
yes,
so
yes.
it's a great balance.
And
It's
you
very
need both.
balanced.
You need both.
Yes.
You need both. So you talked about projects, Elde, and you talked about how you can see them from the 10-foot view and get people excited about it. I want to transition into Storyville Amusement Park. I, I've seen your work all over the city, all of your townhomes, and the work that you guys have done. But this is a magnanimous project. Please tell us how Storyville came to be. What is it that you are trying to do, and when can we get tickets?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So much to say about that one. So I would say that, coming from the field of real estate development, you look at areas, you look at communities, and you see what's missing, and you provide what's missing. And that's what has been so successful. That's what's kept our company so successful. So when we looked at Nashville as a whole and having children here, we were going to the movies every weekend. And I told my husband, I said, we should just do a small little park, just something small and intimate, but something fun. And it wasn't too long later that I was in a conference where they were talking about the literacy challenges and the ever declining statistics with the literacy rates. And it was like at that moment, the Lord gave me, it was like the light bulb went off.
Mm.
Because if we do a park somewhere where children can play, and it is in a way impacting their literacy statistics. And it can change how they feel about reading, and hopefully develop, a love for reading. Then we can be very impactful. So that just set us on a whole journey. There's studies that show that if you can get a child to read for fun, that their test scores will increase. And that is huge. So to have a park, which will be the foundation of having children read for fun, and being able to bring books and stories to life in ways that they can interact and engage, it was just a world of endless possibilities. And same thing how you shared earlier, where you know that you're on the right path when God just opens doors, and he opens them quickly. So we later that year ended up going to a convention, and we met a man who really, I think the Lord used to help propel us forward pretty quickly. His name is Mel McGowan, and he was one of the lead designers of California Disneyland, and he worked with the city to master plan the 2 square miles around it. So he pointed us in the direction of what we needed to look at the business side of it. And when we did, we found that Nashville was one of 2 markets in the United States that had a successful amusement park that was no longer in operations. And it didn't close down because it was in financial turmoil. It closed down because they wanted to build a mall. And it's, I would say, at least twice a day, when we're talking about Storyville, someone tells us that's where they met their husband, that's where they met their wife, that's where they went to, went for something. They had season passes, they worked there. And there's these memories that were created, and that's what theme parks do. They are places where you have generational memories, and children have their park. That's their park they grew up. And just as that story morphed, we really found out how much the city was missing family entertainment destinations. So that started us on our journey 4 years ago to create something that checked all these boxes, that we could really make a difference with children and literacy, and that we could really provide a family destination for families in Nashville and outside of Nashville. So that's really it in a nutshell. So much to say, but
I really, and anyone who is interested, what's the website address
yes.
for Storyville?
So you can Google Storyville Gardens, or you can just go to storyvillegardens.com.
And are you still looking for investors? I know you're 4 years in, and we've got, it's slated for spring of 2025. If someone is interested, how can they become part of this journey with you?
Yes, so we already have our construction financing secured, somewhere a little upwards of 300 million. We have a couple other options waiting in the wings, but we saved a spot for really strategic investors. We just in July opened up for a $20 million raise. We have quite a bit committed already, but anyone can go to storyvillegardens.com, and there's a little tab for investor opportunities to submit a request to get more information about that.
Awesome. And so have you finalized the location? Is it going to be in Nashville proper? Have you figured out exactly where Storyville is going to be placed?
So that is the $300 million question, right? No, we have some great options. We would not have released to the public if we didn't already have land identified. And we had a few ones. We have eliminated a couple since then, and we are down to just a couple that I'm not going to share, but we'll be making a big announcement by the end of this year.
Okay, so everyone make sure you are following this, and I think you can also sign up for a newsletter, and also for, just so that you're prompted when all of this news is released, because this is so exciting. I grew up in Ohio, and we had an amusement park in the middle of my hometown, which is Youngstown, Idora Park. So anyone out there from Ohio who remembers Idora Park, same kind of thing, memories of childhood and, Geauga Lake and Cedar Point, so you guys are on to something huge and something big. And we support you guys. We
Thank you so
wholeheartedly support
much.
your journey in this. And so LD, anything that you want to add about your amusement park?
Yes, the park is an incredible movement here in Nashville. Again, as we said in the beginning, we're problem solvers. We keep opening ourselves, tell God we want to give us ability to solve more problem, and He keep funding us. He keep getting stuff coming to us, and we seen a city that's growing. That's a few little thing they focus on, like little C. For me, I've learned that to my wife, I did not understand why I was paying such a big check every month because my children went to Montessori school. In the beginning, I'm the guy who was like, "Oh no, I did just fine. You don't need to send my kids to Montessori school." But she did. She stood the ground. She said, "I want my children to go to Montessori school." Man, they that I understand it. I think it was more of me learning how children can learn having fun, but at the same time learning without understanding that they are learning. When my wife came to me with the idea in the beginning, and I tell her, find someone to pay for it, and I'm behind it. But she walked her tail off on it again, and then it's all her idea. I support her on that project. I just want everybody to understand it is not just a theme park. And it is not just $300 million. This is the $1 billion+ project. If anyone ever been to the Universal City Walk, we will have our own Universal City Walk, if not better, in Nashville, a place where family can actually not just go to the park, but the day that you don't want to go to the park, you want to take the children in a place where they can actually enjoy without any interruption like you would. I love Broadway. When my friends are in town, we go to Broadway, but I'm not saying anything about Broadway, but a place where you can attention and say, look, I'm going to take my children in a place to have fun. I'm here in business. I want to go on a date with my wife while with our kids, or bring them in town with us when we come. Is to bring this project is going to actually help supporting Nashville, the city, the whole, wherever we locate in the middle of Tennessee, it's going to help strengthen our economy, strengthen our young children, our young family that's moving here without kids. That's going to have something to do with their kids. That's going to strengthen our housing, everything that we're investing in as Nashville, of the middle Tennessee area. This project is going to impact in a positive way and to everything. And then, as of right now, you mentioned something about the raise. Yes, we are taking $20 million, but we actually call a small side for the friends and family, people that is in Nashville itself that can invest small amount of dollars. But we have people that you can reach to explain to how that work. You don't have to have $1 million to invest in this project. We cover percentage for those who just want to be supporting. It can be supporting by go to the website, pick up a hat, or it can be as even go in there investing money into the park, because that is something that I do very well here in Nashville, have family and creating wealth for the next generation that's coming.
Well, generational wealth, this whole thing that you guys have built has generational wealth built on it, stamped on it. You have a family business that eventually your children can become a part of. They are growing up with two wonderful entrepreneurs. And, if you can see it, you can be it. And so I definitely know that your three are the next generation to carry on what you're doing here, to do something great. So
Yes.
blessings to all of you. Blessings.
Yes.
Thank you.
Um,
I'd love to just tie that up with just a little bit of the creative side behind the park.
mhm.
First, the park is designed. It has four corners of the world: so Africa, Asia, Europe, and America.
Mm.
And each section has attractions that were from their origin. So, like 1001 Nights is in Asia, which is the original story of Aladdin. But there's a whole roller coaster ride centered around that, and a whole way to bring those words to life. And so there's this huge cultural experience that we're pursuing as well, where each section is really designed to engage all five senses. So we have all these multi layers of things that we're doing in the park, and looking to make an impact. And it's because some children will never be able to go to Europe, but to be able to experience the sights, the sounds, the feels in a way that they can translate. And so it's a fun journey. There's also, the concept of edutainment, like my husband spoke about, where just like Legoland, it creates builders, right? Where they're playing with these Legos. So we've taken the same model, but just with words. So our tagline is "Words create worlds."
Mm.
And so it's an infinite amount of things that we're going to be able to do and impact with that. So I just wanted to provide a little additional context
Yeah.
to the park itself creatively, and excited to just continue to share more over the years. The last thing I'll say, and I'll leave it with this. One of our designers was asked the question, so are you guys shooting for education? And he hit the nail on the head. He said, we're shooting beyond education. We're
Mm.
shooting for transformation and inspiration.
Yes.
And the goal is, if we can inspire a child to read, or if we could inspire a child to pick up a pen and write their own story,
Mm.
then we've done our job.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
just so powerful. That's amazing. I love all of that.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I will be available. You said the five senses. I'm assuming food will be involved. And
Yes.
so when the time comes to, create those menus, I'll be available. I don't know where lemon cape or chicken falls on those menus, but we can include that. So if we can
Crimping
include
grit.
that somewhere. Oh my
I
goodness.
love that. That's perfect.
So we're getting close to the end of our second episode, and I just want to, if you have any calls to action, we spoke a little bit about people getting involved and following the project, but do you have any final thoughts, any words of wisdom, or any calls to action that you want my listeners and viewers to follow up on?
I'll let my husband go first.
First thing, first thing, first thing first is don't limit your dream. Um, Whatever I can do in my dream when I'm asleep, I can do when I'm awake. It's actually easier to do as I'm awake than to do when I'm sleeping. So I don't want anyone to limit their dream. Remember that there is a source. Mine, uh, Jesus, God, everybody called have different name, but God do not limit you. You are, like they say, you are one in a millions, 5 millions. It is true. It is true. Focus on what he put you here to do. To the difficulty, when you experience it, you should be smiling because you're about to jump to the other side where we won't have to experience that anymore. Doesn't mean there won't be more difficulty. There will be more just to accelerate you to the next level. God is with you and He's with all of us. So stay strong and stay in faith. Put Him first before anything.
Amen.
Yeah. So I guess I'll say that it's funny because I've heard a lot of people call the project an idea, and it was an idea in the beginning, but now it's an actual project. And it started with an idea, but what I feel like to share is that every idea is something that the Lord gives to us because we have a responsibility. And when you begin to trust that, he'll light the path. If he would have told me when I was younger that this is what I would have been doing, I would not have believed it. But what's been incredible is to know that the seed was planted within me, and he gave me every single thing that I needed to be where I am. And as I continue to walk, he just continues to bring me every single thing that I need. And I don't think that that's just true for me. I think that that's true for everyone. Um, and I'll say that people say, well, how do you do it? And I'll say that I get up every day and I ask myself, if I can do whatever it is that I can do today to get myself to the next step, then I'm making progress. Before you know it, you look back and you're 4 years down and you are funded with land and you're building an amusement park. So just wake up every day and do everything that you can to move forward towards your journey. No matter how many people think that you're crazy or think that that is impossible, just keep walking.
That's entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so very much for those nuggets of wisdom. I want to make sure that my listeners and viewers make sure that they can follow you and follow this story. Uh, Go ahead and give us all of your social media handles, your websites, and other ways that listeners can reach you. And I know DeLisa and Elde, you guys both are doing speaking gigs and on different panels. So make sure that they know where to also find you if they want to listen to you on a panel.
So I will take this one. So my husband and I'll claim we are not the best at social media. We are working on building up a team that can help us handle that. But my husband, he is on LinkedIn. So just his name, Elde Guerrier, on LinkedIn is how you can connect with him. I'm DeLisa Guerrier on LinkedIn, also DeLisa Guerrier on Instagram and on Facebook, although I don't frequent those too often. Uh, I am honestly, I can't tell you without looking at my calendar what's coming up in terms of speaking engagements. There's two panels that I'm sitting on September 22nd. One is for the Women's Business Collaborative, the WBC, and another one is for big brothers, big sisters. It's called Mentoring Matters, and I'm pretty sure those dates are September 22nd.
Okay.
So new events are coming up all the time, but the best way to follow Storyville's progress is definitely just check out Storyville Gardens on either Instagram, Facebook, or just the website.
And what's the company's Guerrier Development's website if people are interested in looking at any of your
Yes.
projects?
Yes, GuerrierDevelopment.com. So it's GUERRIER development.com. The best way to remember how to pronounce it is like Perrier water, Guerrier.
I got that lesson from Elde. It makes it easy. But I will make sure that all of your dates and as well as the social media handles and websites will be in the show notes. So again,
Okay.
thank you, Elde. Thank you, DeLisa, for coming on the show and sharing your powerful story with us. I know my listeners and viewers will take away some great nuggets of wisdom. So thank you again to the both of you.
No,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for having
Thank you so
us.
much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I also want to encourage my listeners and viewers, go ahead and follow Storyville Gardens. I'm sure we'll probably bump into each other once the grand opening happens. I want them to just encourage them to follow you guys because you have great things going on. All of the information from the show will be in the show notes. So my guest social media links to the resources mentioned in the episode are on my website, PhylaniceNasheExperience.com. You can find all of the episodes, seasons 1 and 2 of the Phylanice Nashe Experience on whatever podcast platform you use. We're also on Amazon and iHeartRadio. You can also find the video of this interview on my YouTube channel, the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there. And you can follow me on social media, Phylanice Nashe, at LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And again, we're still in the middle of COVID. I want everyone to stay safe. If you can get vaccinated, please do so. Make sure you wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance so we can get back to normal. Everyone stay safe, stay well. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.